Roman Reigns, the current face of WWE, stood before the world not as a character, not as a performer, but as a man deeply moved by the loss of one of wrestling's most iconic figures, Hulk Hogan. The announcement of Hulk Hogan's passing on July 24, 2025, sent shockwaves through the sports and entertainment industry. Terry Bollea, known to millions as Hulk Hogan, died of cardiac arrest at the age of 71. His impact, however, continues to live on. Roman Reigns paid his respects on WWE SmackDown the following night. His tribute was not part of a storyline. It wasn't an act. It was a moment of truth in a world often shaped by fiction. Roman Reigns, often seen in a dominant persona as the tribal chief, shed all performance to speak directly from the heart. He addressed the WWE Universe and acknowledged the giant whose shoulders every modern wrestler stands on. He said, "We lost a giant, not just a man, not just a wrestler, but a giant." Hulk Hogan wasn't just part of the business, he was the reason many of us even knew what professional wrestling was. Roman's voice carried the weight of a generation. He did not exaggerate. For over 4 decades, Hulk Hogan was a household name, a global brand, a cultural force. Born Terry Eugene Bollea in 1953, Hogan rose to prominence in the 1980s, headlining WrestleMania events, filling stadiums, and transcending professional wrestling. He appeared in movies, TV shows, and music videos. He became the symbol of strength, loyalty, and charisma. His trademark mustache, red and yellow gear, and the phrase, "What you gonna do, brother," were known around the world. For children of the 80s and 90s, he was a superhero who happened to wear wrestling boots. Roman Reigns spoke on behalf of an entire locker room that had been shaped by Hogan's influence. He noted how Hulk Hogan turned professional wrestling into something bigger than itself. "He opened the doors for people like me. He made this ring a dream and not just a job." That statement was not poetic, it was a clear acknowledgement of Hogan's role in transforming WWE into a global phenomenon. Throughout the evening, WWE aired video packages showing Hulk Hogan's legacy, his historic matches, emotional promos, and behind-the-scenes moments that fans rarely saw. But what made Roman Reigns' tribute stand out was the seriousness and truth in his tone. He didn't try to entertain. He didn't play a role. He mourned. Roman emphasized that without Hulk Hogan, many of the superstars today would not have the platform they do. He recalled watching Hogan as a child, seeing him command audiences in ways that felt larger than life. He remembered the way Hogan lifted people not just physically in the ring, but emotionally. Hogan gave fans something to believe in. He gave them someone to cheer for. He made hope feel tangible. Cody Rhodes also stood beside Roman that night. He echoed similar thoughts, sharing how he, too, grew up idolizing Hulk Hogan. Cody recalled how his father, the legendary Dusty Rhodes, had always respected Hogan, not just for his draw power, but for his ability to inspire. Together, Cody and Roman represented the past, present, and future of WWE, acknowledging the legacy that gave them the foundation they now stand on. Roman Reigns continued by stating that Hogan had become a symbol, something eternal in the minds of wrestling fans. He said, "Even if you weren't there in the 80s, even if you started watching wrestling only a few years ago, you know who Hulk Hogan is. You've heard his voice. You've seen that pose. You've felt the energy. That's what makes him immortal." Other legends also paid their respects. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson posted an emotional tribute online, recalling his match with Hogan at WrestleMania X8 in 2002. In his video, Rock said, "When I stood across from Hogan, I wasn't just in a match. I was in a moment that millions would remember forever. I watched him as a kid. And then, I stood in front of him as a man and I still felt like a fan." The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, and Sting all issued statements or posted on social media. Ric Flair said, "Hulk Hogan was the biggest star wrestling ever saw. He was the top guy in every sense of the word." Kevin Nash, who worked alongside Hogan in the NWO era of WCW, said, "He was my brother. In and out of the ring, we fought battles together, shared tears, and lived this wild ride. I'm broken. Triple H called Hogan the most recognizable figure in sports entertainment history. He added, "Without Hogan, the bridge between wrestling and pop culture may never have formed the way it did. He didn't just headline shows, he brought millions to the product. He was the reason many even turned on the TV." Roman Reigns. Tribute carried all these voices with it. As the face of WWE today, Roman has the responsibility to carry the business forward. But on that night, he carried something else: respect, humility, and a deep understanding of history. Jimmy Hart, Hogan's longtime friend and manager, gave interviews in which he shared that Hogan had spoken about his legacy in recent weeks. He always said he was proud of what wrestling had become. Proud of Roman, proud of Cody, proud that wrestling was still alive and that fans still believed. That belief, Roman acknowledged, came from Hogan. He made wrestling believable. Not because it was real, but because he made you feel like it was. That's something you can't teach. That's a gift. Fans across the world responded with grief and appreciation. Social media was flooded with memories, pictures, and clips of Hogan's matches and interviews. People remembered not only what he did in the ring, but how he made them feel. Roman's words reflected that same emotion. This isn't just the end of a career, it's the loss of a hero, and we're all feeling it. Roman reminded everyone that while Hogan may no longer be physically present, his influence is not going anywhere. Every time you hear a crowd scream for a babyface come back, every time someone cups their hand to their ear or flexes their arms, that's Hogan, that's his voice, his energy, living through us. WWE ended the show with Hogan's voice from a classic promo. There were no jokes, no dramatic stunts, just a replay of his words, timeless, powerful, and now, part of history. "What you're gonna do, brother?" And there was silence. Roman Reigns gave Hogan what he truly deserved: a tribute, based not on gimmick, but on gratitude. Gratitude from a generation that knows what Hogan gave them. Gratitude from a business that was shaped by his hands. Gratitude from a fanbase that grew up screaming his name. In that moment, Roman wasn't the champion. He wasn't the head of the table. He was a voice for every child who once ripped their shirt, flexed in front of a mirror, and believed they could be a hero. He spoke clearly, he spoke slowly, and he made sure the world knew Hulk Hogan is gone. But Hulkamania will never die. Let this be remembered. Not as a storyline, not as a script, but as a moment of truth. One legend saying goodbye to another. One generation saluting the last. And the wrestling world, standing still,